This is Cougar Cassius for Apple TV in association with Macklin's Gym Marbella. We're at Blue Water here in Kent for Mick Hennessy's show. With me I've got Mick Hennessy. How are you, Mick?
Not too bad, Cougar. Okay. Glad to get this show behind me, to be fair.
Yeah. Obviously we know the frustrations of a couple of days ago of Dickinson pulling out the fight during injury, but I mean, you've done well to get a short notice replacement, and in Matty Clarkson as well, it went as long as it did, and then he retired in the fight tonight. But I mean, at least you had a fight to put on, Mick. Yeah,
to be fair, Cougar, I had no choice really. You know, that was the second pull-out, and the fight had to take place in November. The final had to take place. When it was postponed the first time for injury, it was 2.5 weeks before the event, and we had time. But this time, you know, they pulled out literally 2 days before the event, and you know, that was it really. It was there was no time, and we couldn't go back. It had to happen in November. So unfortunately, you know, fair play to Matty Clarkson for stepping in, but you know, it weren't an ideal situation, and we just all had to crack on really.
Obviously, I read some comments from Travis Dickinson voicing his frustration at the replacement of Matty Clarkson coming in when Barbadjev was pulled out before. Obviously, the fight was rescheduled, but there's nothing you've just explained. There's nothing you could have done about that.
No, there's nothing I could have done. And to be fair, you know, his team, his trainer, told our matchmaker that they knew about this on Monday. They knew about the injury on Monday, and yet they told us on Thursday morning. So you know, how's that work? You know, a massive production like this, and we should be the first to know if there's you know, any problems to talk of, and we didn't get told until, you know, a few days later. So you know, that's not good. And as I said, the first injury was 2.5 weeks notice, but 2 days before we had to get on with it, because as far as broadcast dates go, it had to take place in November. The trainer also told our matchmaker that you know, he wouldn't be ready this side of Christmas. So you know, that's what we're left with basically.
Looking back at the whole Maxi-Nutrition tournament, would you consider it a success?
I would consider it a success for the fights we've had. I think it brought out something whereby fighters who are not normally in the public eye or not normally high profile were given, you know, regular work with quality money and titles thrown in the mix as well. And as part of that, I think we see some serious passion. You know, all the fights, everyone was putting everything on the line, and we was getting some, you know, great fights and Fight of the Year candidates. And I think from that, I think the formula worked big time from that point of view. But I think that it didn't really catch on with the public, to be fair. I don't think the press got behind it the way they could have done or should have done. And you know, when you get things like this, you know, two injuries on the final, you know, you see yourself tonight. I mean, you know, 2 times, you know, people didn't know whether this event was going to happen or not, so it affected ticket sales badly as well. So you know, there's a lot of negatives, because you know, when you do a normal event, a normal championship boxing event, and you've got sort of like 2, you know, you can sort of like mix and match, or you can bring in another opponent. But when you know, when you've got a tournament like this, you're reliant on the participants. So yeah.
A bit of a mixed night, disappointment there for Ben Jones at the end.
Yeah.
Good win for Lenny Dawes, and a bit of a frustrating night, even though he got the win for Eddie Chambers as well.
Yeah, I thought Ben was very unlucky now, and to be fair, that was an incredible fight. I mean, you know, that should have definitely got on TV really. I thought Lenny Dawes' fight was brilliant. Yeah. Really enjoyed that.
Badley's a character, isn't he?
Real character. Something else he is. I've never seen the likes. And to be fair, how tough he was and how awkward he was, I think that's Lenny's best performance. I thought he done brilliant, and the shot he put him over with was a cracking right hand. Really impressed with Lenny tonight, and great fight, great entertainment. So yeah, I mean, you know, that was the you know, plus point for tonight. And there was some other, you know, quality fights on the card as well.
Blackwell was in a good scrap tonight as well.
Brilliant. I thought he performed brilliant. He looked class, you know, sensational jab, and you know.
What's the deal with Blackwell then? Obviously, he has to wait the winner of Saunders Eubank and then see what they do with the British title after. Because if it's Billy Joe, then he may well vacate that title.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, from what we're hearing, if it's Billy Joe, then he's probably going to move on to a world title fight. If it's Chris Eubank, then apparently he'll defend. So you know, doesn't really matter really. Nick's mandatory, so purse bids are going to be called, you know, after that fight anyway. So he's in a great position.
Obviously, we know that Chris Eubank was under your promotion before. What are you making of all the ongoings of the Eubanks during this build-up to the Billy Joe fight?
What am I making of it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised in any way, shape or form, really, because I actually, you know, I've had press conferences where they didn't attend before, so I'm not surprised. But look, let's face it, it's a fight everyone wants to see. You know, whoever you put that down to, you know, Billy Joe sort of like, to an extent, made the fight. But the Eubanks are playing their part now, and it's grabbing the public's imagination. So, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I can't wait to see it. Great fight.
I think everyone is. Obviously, we've been up the Fury gym a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, and obviously Tyson's deep into camp, obviously ahead of the 29th.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a 50-50 fight there with Chisora. No one can really call it, you know, either way comfortably, shall we say. So, but big things for Tyson if he can get past Chisora.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, he's you know, the winner of this fight's got Klitschko. So it doesn't get any bigger than that, really, does it? So
how confident are you that fight will actually happen if, say, Tyson wins to come through Chisora on your side, obviously? How confident you can make a fight with Klitschko?
Well, what we're being told is that Klitschko is likely to you know, have another defence in March, and then after that he's going to have to meet his WBO commitment. So, you know, hopefully that fight will take place at a stadium by the end of next summer.
Certainly hope so.
That's what we're, you know, that's what it's looking like. So, look, you know, it's no mystery. You know, people know that I fancy the fight strongly with Chisora. I fancied it the first time strongly. That's why I made it early in Tyson's career, and I fancy it again. So I just think it's going to be an even better performance by Tyson this time. I think he's matured, and he's through the matches that have been made and the fights he's had, I think he's become a hell of a fighter, a much more experienced fighter that fought Chisora the first time round. And he hasn't picked up as many miles on the clock as Derek has, that's for sure.
We know that an offer was made to Eddie Hearn and Scott Quigg for a fight. It was made public by yourselves, and you know that offer was out there. That offer was to fight in Dubai in December, correct?
Yes.
Why Dubai, Mick?
Because I've got, you know, a great situation out there, and Barry was actually born in Qatar, so it made sense. You know, financially it added up. The deal I put together, and you know, it would have been a real spectacle. I mean, you know, it would have been at a World Trade Center. It would have, you know, it'd have been a trip that everyone would like to make, and it would have been a special event. It would have been something else. You know, there's a big population of expats out in Dubai as well, and it would have created a lot of excitement. You know, an all-British world title fight.
When you made the offer, Scott Quigg's opponent hadn't been named as Hidenori Itaki, who he's facing on the 22nd. How, like, sort of confident or not confident were you that they would be interested in that fight, especially in Dubai, when Scott was already scheduled to fight on the 22nd, even though he didn't have an opponent?
Well, he weren't really scheduled to fight on the 22nd. His trainer told our matchmaker that he weren't definitely on that bill. So, you know, there's mixed messages coming out of that camp for sure, in a big way. He weren't definitely on the bill. He didn't definitely have an opponent. And by the way, after getting the offer for 400,000, they come back and said they'd do it for 600,000 plus one option. So they're telling lies, aren't they? If they're saying it's because he was already scheduled to be on that bill, he was already scheduled to be on November 22nd, why ask for 600,000 and one option to do it on the 6th of December? That's what they asked for.
Okay.
I told them that 400,000 was our second and final offer. It was a big payday, a lot more than he's getting paid at the moment, a hell of a lot more for that fight, for a super bantamweight world title fight. And you know, that was our offer. Take it or leave it.
I think I've heard Eddie Hearn saying in interviews that they're willing to discuss the fight for next year. Is that something that you would look at again next year, Mick? Or, yeah. But what about having it here so the fans could come here? I mean, obviously Quigg Galahad here is a massive fight for the UK public to go and watch.
Well, look, yeah. I mean, if it can stack up financially, then you know, it's a fight we want to make. We'll do it here. But you know, it added a bit of an edge to it putting it in Dubai. I mean, it would have been a special event over there and a lot of money spent on it.
I'd quite like to see that fight, to be honest. Quigg Galahad, I think it's a great fight.
Let's see it where though?
I'd be honest with you, I'd prefer it if it was here, because I just know that, you know, you could turn that into something here. I mean, listen, I'm not knocking wherever it. Listen, Las Vegas, Dubai, wherever, but I think given the choice, I think the fact that people can go and watch it, I suppose, a big crowd could go and see that. It'd be nice to have that,
yeah. I mean, the fight just needs to take place, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, we want it to happen. Barry's confident, very confident. I'm confident, and it's a fight we want. But at the end of the day, if that don't happen, he'll whether it be the WBC, he'll win. You know, he'll win a major title himself, whether it be WBC or whether it be fighting Cole Frampton.
Is that another option?
Yeah, it's another option.
Yeah. Have you ever spoke to the big McGuigan about that?
Yeah,
fight?
I spoke to Barry McGuigan about that. You know, he's interested in building up to that fight, definitely. So yeah, it's a fight. It's of interest, definitely. You know, my personal opinion is that it's a harder fight than the Quigg fight. It's still a fight that needs to be made. You know, all three of them are lucky to have each other, aren't they? So let's get it on.
We just hope it's not one of these divisions where, like the middleweights were with Barker, Macklin, Murray, where they never fought each other.
Well, listen, I've kick-started it, haven't I? I made a special offer there.
Yeah.
And it's been turned down.
Well, listen, from a fan point of view, everyone want to see these fights. Not everyone understands the ins and outs of the dealings and the politics, maybe sometimes behind it.
But by the way, I mean, although it was in Dubai, it was going to be live on Channel 5.
Yeah.
So it was going to go out to, you know, a big terrestrial audience.
Yeah. What have you got? What is the situation with your Channel 5 at the moment? They're obviously backing you immensely at the moment. Is this ongoing? Is it? How long is it for?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a great ongoing relationship. It's been good. We've been doing it a long time now, and we're going to continue.
Long may it continue. I think we was in that position the other day where Channel 5, Boxing Nation, Sky all on the same night, and then I think the weekend after everyone said like there was no boxing on.
The weekend after.
The weekend after there wasn't a show on, and is that? How do you feel about that? Like three channels running on the same night with three different shows. It's a bit frustrating for fans in a way, isn't it, Mick?
It's frustrating for me as well. I don't like it. But no question, by everyone scheduling on the same night, it affects each other's shows, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whether it's ticket sales or whether it's viewing figures or whether it's subscriptions, it affects each other's shows, and it's silly, really, isn't it?
See, in a perfect world, obviously this is unlikely to happen, but like you, like Frank, Eddie, all just sit down and go, right, you have that date, we have this date, and you have that date. Why can't that happen?
Well, it should happen, shouldn't it?
It should, yeah.
But you know,
just draw it out of a hat.
When people are sort of like poncing, like, and being parasites around other people's fighters, it's hard to sit down and talk on a level playing field, isn't it? You know.
Well, like I said, from a fan point of view, they just don't understand all the ins and outs of things. So
yeah, I'm just saying. Listen, I'd love things to be right in boxing, but there's a lot of things that are wrong, and there's certain people you can sit down with and talk common sense, and there's others that you wouldn't trust as far as you could boot.
All right. Well, listen, Mick, thank you for your thoughts tonight, and they're literally clearing up behind us. So I think it's time to probably go on. Right on cue.
All right. Cheers, Coogan.
Listen, Mick, thanks for coming to IFL TV. We'll catch up with you really soon.
No worries. Thanks.
Cheers, mate.